Sunday night, 8 p.m. live on YouTube for comments and likes. Don't forget to like Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast, episode 43. And didn't we have a lovely time the day we went to South Shields? Yes, we did. Well done. Well done. Well done, everyone. Let me tell you how it started for me with an annoyed Phil Tanner. I met Phil. That was lovely. Evening Phil, who travelled 5 hours to get there yesterday. I'm guessing 5 hours to get back as well, I would have thought. Then I spoke with Mr. Murray and asked him what his plan was for the game. He said they were going to go for it. I said, was Hemo playing? And he said, yeah, why not? That his actual words were, yeah, why not? Love that. Then I said, well, who else is going to surprise us? He said, Digger's playing in the field, but don't expect him to last more than 45 minutes. That didn't work out so well. He only trained a week. And then Mr. Kidderminster himself, Mr. John Smith, came over as I was chatting with Murray. John, take it away, mate. Tell us about the game. Tell us about the game.
Well, excuse me. What do I start? Yeah, obviously lovely to see you yesterday, Wes, and all of the other Harriers fans that made the very long journey to South Shields. Myself and the real Mr. Kidderminster, Adam J. Matthews, went up on Friday evening and stayed over and went out for a bite to eat and a couple of libations. So that was lovely. Yeah, it was good of Adam to give us a bit of time before the game to chat how things are going. Also had the chance to catch up with him at the Redditch Worcestershire Senior Cup game, which the less said about that, the better. Unfortunately, we lost 6-1, but such is the Worcestershire Senior Cup these days. Yeah, when we were having that conversation, and I said to him, Reynolds and Fylde linked up beautifully against Chorley. Is that going to be the same right-hand side this week? And he said, no, I'm putting Digger in there. I was a bit like, okay, right, that's a shame. But he got it spot on. He said that he was going to go for it from the start. We were going to press them. We weren't going to give them any time on the ball. And the starting lineup and the personnel choice was perfect for that. What success we had on the right-hand side against Chorley, which, they did link up brilliantly. I thought we converted to the left-hand side this week. I thought Owen Evans and Devine, shout out to both of them, but Reece Devine ended up looking like he'd done a Tough Mudder by the end of it. He put his body on the line again and again, and just tirelessly made runs for all, however long it was, eventually 192 minutes or something, whatever it was. I think the success that we had yesterday was because of the way that we played, but also obviously the lineup and getting Hemo back into that starting lineup worked as well as we hoped that it would. Obviously, he didn't get on the score sheet, but boy, did he make a difference. Made a difference in terms of giving us a real outlet for the way that we wanted to play yesterday. When we were pressing high and we recovered the ball, we were first to second balls, which is something that I've not said a lot this season. And then to be able to get them straight up to Hemo, who, credit to him for his, and I obviously say this as a man of shorter stature myself, but for someone who's not the tallest, he won every single header. He was first to everything. He was superb, and also played his part in the delivery as well as being on the end of things. I thought, the style of play, the way that we dominated play was superb. We restricted them largely to half chances. They had 2 clear-cut chances, both of which Dibble dealt with well. One that he saved with his legs, which I'm not sort of sure he knew too much about, and then another fantastic save. And I think there's a lot of players that deserve individual credit for yesterday. Dibble being one of those. I think there's been a few murmurings about lack of confidence in Dibble and from Dibble, and what a way to step up yesterday.
He was back,
I think he was. He looked like he really enjoyed it yesterday, which I don't think he has done that much, because it's been a bit of a thankless task. But yeah, he really stepped up. yesterday. And while we're talking about individual performances, and what an individual goal from Cam Candola, literally, and I will hold my hands up here. 20 minutes before he scored that goal, he made a piercing forward run and took a shot, and unfortunately that didn't go anywhere. And I turned around to Adam and I said, I don't know why he's doing that. I don't think he's got that in his locker. And then
hold my beer, John. Hold my beer.
What a way to prove me wrong, and other fans who've said that as well. I mean, fantastic goal. Just well, yeah, we will look at it later, but what a way to take things into your own hands. That was fantastic.
He beats 5 men. He beats 5 men, John, including the goalie.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm saying, individual performances, but all round, what a team performance. One of the things that I've leveled a bit of criticism for, and I did have a bit of a rant at the sidelines yesterday, is the lack of communication and talking from the team. That definitely improved yesterday. I think with having Davis back in there, that was a real help on that score. I think, and I'm loath to pick up any negatives from yesterday, but that is one area that we can make those. What is it they say in the business world, Nick? Blue sky marginal gains. That is one area that we can still really improve.
Wouldn't know. Not corporate.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that's something that we can still improve. And unfortunately, communication was the reason that we lost 2 players, and we had to make 2 substitutions. And wish them both well. Hope that they're doing okay today. Probably had a lazy day on the sofa recovering and watching F1, I imagine. But that's just an example of things that we can just up our game on a little bit. And it's such a simple part of the game that anyone could do, whether you could kick a ball like those players on the pitch or not, like me. It's just such a simple thing. Like the basics, like time, man on. I mean, it's Sunday League stuff that we're kind of missing out on a little bit. And I am loath to criticise anything that team did yesterday, because wow, what a team performance that started with coming over and acknowledging the fans and ended with them coming over and shaking the hands of the fans individually. And
amazing.
Yeah, I think it was a great away day against a fantastic team in South Shields.
Yeah,
the way that they played suited us, and I said this, didn't I, last week? They play similar to the way that Merthyr do, and that does suit us and our style of play. But we've still got to go and stop a free-flowing, high-scoring team from playing their game, and boy, did we do that. So, yeah, I hope everyone who went enjoyed it. I hope everyone who listened on the radio or saw the highlights, however they enjoyed the Harriers win, made their weekend a bit better.
And if you missed it, don't worry, the goals are on the way shortly. I just want to give a mention to Riley Reynolds. My God, that guy his tracker on the back of his shirt must have melted. He ran that fast, I would have thought, and for that long. Knowles is saying, Knowles 90. I couldn't catch the game yesterday, but every comment from South Shield fans complained about the ref. I thought the referee was really good yesterday, and it was nice. He gave him fouls as well. And do you get the run of decision? I thought he was fair.
I thought he was a fairly balanced ref. I think he's we've had him a couple of times previously. I think he's always been fairly good, fairly impartial. I think it's difficult sometimes because you look at these decisions and if they're going for you, sometimes you don't spot anything wrong. But I like to think, I have a fairly balanced view of the referees and the decisions, and I think those complaints are pretty unjustified from South Shields. By the way, I'm sure the South Shields fans are lovely people, but oh my God, how quiet was it? I mean, I was amazed at a team second in the league who were top of the league by some way. There were only 5 drunk blokes singing. There were no chants, there was no singing, there was no real support. And it makes a hell of a difference. And that's, I know I bang on about this every week, and this is episode 40, whatever. I've probably said this for the last 20 weeks. It makes such a difference, the support. And even if you watch the highlights, the only people you can hear are the Harriers fans. And credit to all the Harriers fans who travel, but also the fans week in, week out who are bringing the noise back to Agborough as well.
I want to give a mention to Carl, who was doing the letting people in, taking money for tickets and stuff. Carl, because Adam and John both wanted a program, but it turned out that they couldn't get a program because they couldn't pay for it on the card. So I went over, I was like, "Hold my beer, John," and I did get 2 programs from them. And Carl was just the nicest guy. He took the defeat really well. And also the security man, John, I don't know if you heard this, but the security man said to me, he said, "I've been saying to some of my mates working here that you guys are the best fans we've had this season by far." And I was like, "Well, thank you very much. I don't know how to take that, but thank you very much." So that was fun. And what a day it was. The day for me, I couldn't end great for me, could it? So for me, I decided to order Chinese at 7 p.m. At 9 o'clock, the Chinese turned up. I ordered sweet and sour chicken with pineapple, and chicken and pineapple turned up 2 hours later. I wasn't happy with that, so they got a 3-star review on Just Eat. And that's my thoughts on that one. I've got some comments coming in. I heard some Watanka shouting on the radio towards the ref. No way. There was one stood by the comms team. Of course there was. Chelsea's manager complained about most things, but did mention the ref. Well, there you go. Well, Willem, yes, credit 2 fans who made trip up. What do you mean, mate? We took loads. How many do you reckon we took, John? About 80, 90, something like that in the end?
I think it was slightly less than that. I think there were 37 on the coach, and then probably about another 25 made their way up by car. I think he means credit to the fans, not credit to fans. I think he's just obviously.
What do you want the number 2?
Obviously cooler than us, Wes, and just using tech speak. But yeah, I think what I really love about the Harriers fans is whatever our situation, whether we are in a place like we were 10 years ago when we'd lost 8 on the bounce, 10 on the bounce, or whether we're flying high at the top of the league, you get the same hardcore fans that turn up and support us week in, week out as much as they possibly can. And they were really rewarded yesterday for all of their dedication with a great away day. So
absolutely. Yeah. What a brilliant away. The food wasn't very good though, to be fair, if I'm honest. I give the food 6 out of 10. I had a burger and chips.
I enjoyed my jacket potato with chicken curry, to be honest.
What do you have in it? What do you have? Do you have tikka masala?
Yeah. A bit of salad as well for the health conscious.
Hi there. She got in for that. When I was speaking to Adam before the game, I mentioned, I said to Adam, because I'm a comedic genius, I said, "Hang on a minute, aren't you the guy from Own in Eastbourne?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've only watched 1 episode." I was like, "Okay, fine." I said, why aren't Kidderminster Harriers going down that route, doing the same thing, trying to make the club bigger and get more people involved, supporting us and that kind of thing? He said, Adam Murray said he's tried to get the club to see sense and do it, raising the profile, but they're just not interested at all. Nick, can you believe this?
Can I believe it? Yes, I can believe it. I think, ultimately, it sort of depends on what the club want the public to see and what kind of outcome you want. If you look at somebody like Wrexham as an example, the 2 guys that own that are marketing geniuses in a way. You've got one guy there that's effectively, got into the monopoly that is the telecoms market in the USA in Ryan Reynolds and found a way to make a really successful business. So they know what they're doing. I think they use that documentary as a vehicle to get sponsorship on top of their existing platform and profile that they've got. And they've been amazing at doing that. You only have to look at the sponsorship and some of the firms associated with Wrexham to see that it's worked absolutely amazingly. We don't have that level of character, I would say, in terms of the club personality-wise. If you think about last season, we had someone kind of doing that on top of the management job. We don't really have like a media type manager and we certainly don't have like a celebrity profile at the club, I wouldn't say. I guess Robert Plant would be our biggest one, but he's not really invested in the club from a financial perspective. So I guess I think there's lots of opportunity that could come off the back of something like that. I think locally we would, of course, enjoy that. I think all the Harriers fan base would massively love that. It would be a huge thing for the town, depending on the scale of it. And I don't really see the downside of it unless we're, behind the scenes, things aren't as good and as positive as we'd like them to be. You look at Dorking's documentary as an example, and how many football fans now are aware of Dorking Wanderers, how many players go there on the basis that there's more exposure for them as a player and what have you. So I think the upsides, without knowing too much detail about these kind of things, I feel like the upside outweighs the downside, not in a Stranger Things sort of analogy, but just in general. And so I think it would be worthwhile exploring, but whether we've got the appetite to do it doesn't sound like from what you said we have. But yeah, again, if there's an appetite for it, then I think the club have got to listen if the noise is loud enough. But is it? I don't know. I think at some stage it will just be par for the course. I think most clubs will have something similar to that at some stage in the next few years. So you either want to be, in an ideal world, you want to be on that before. You want to be an early adopter on those things, not just doing it when it's the status quo and standard.
I would love to see it, because talking to Adam about it, and he said it was unbelievable the amount of cameras they had. And I said, did they stop anything from going out? He was like, well, the thing was, they said to me, if I didn't want anything showed, just tell them and tell them to get out or whatever, and they wouldn't put anything on. He said, but apart from that, it was absolutely fine. And I just think, well, if the guy's already done it once, what's to stop him doing it again for a different team? And it would raise our profile 100-fold, and they've got fans in America and all that kind of thing, Eastbourne and all that stuff. And it's like, well, why can't we just go and why can't we just think bigger than we are just once? Jesus Christ.
It'd be interesting to know. I don't know if you asked him, Wes, but why the club aren't. I understand, everyone's got a reason. There'd be a reason behind it, but it'd be interesting to know what that reason is, because, like you say, there might be some downsides and negatives and risks associated that maybe we can't think of or don't realise. So it would be good if anybody sort of knows a reason as to why a club would opt against that, really, unless there was a cost element, maybe. But I don't really see the downside.
I don't think Harry's would have to pay anything. Harry's will obviously get paid for it, I guess. But I don't think we pay for it. I think a company, a TV production company, will come and do it all, I would have thought. Dan, have you got any friends in Eastbourne because you were there? Have you got any friends who know about this, who've watched it and said that it's very good? I mean, I watched all episodes of it and I was like, oh, there's Jack Clark, there's whatever. I just wondered what their thoughts were.
So I have got a few friends who live down there, actually. Shout out to a guy we called Fish, Michael Fisher, his name. He still lives down there. He has mentioned this to me about this. It was a while back now. He actually mentioned it to me about the filming going on at the club, because he's involved locally with sport throughout the Eastbourne and surrounding areas, etc. He works for the local council there. So it was something he was aware of. But he's never really fed anything back to me saying, whether it's a straightforward process. And I do wonder if there are elements of the club that just feel, of our club that is, that just feel uncomfortable with having the cameras around the changing rooms and the kind of the board office, etc. But I'm in total agreement with Nick. I think that ultimately this is becoming the norm. This is the way you raise the profile. And absolutely, we talk about having the right personalities in there, and you're totally right. We've got a manager who's already done it. So, he's a celebrity in his own right through that format. So it makes total sense to kind of have that style of viewing, I guess. Or, I mean, I don't know. I think it would be great to get some comment from somebody within the workings as to why we're not considering this as an option. But it's the choice of the club ultimately, and what else can we do? We can't apply the pressure in the way that we'd like to.
Can't. Well, do you know what? I'm seeing in the future? I'm seeing that comes out right. The next thing is we pretty much sell out every game at home because of
Yeah,
this.
that's right.
And then we sell out the new shirts before they're even launched. Everyone's bought them and that kind of thing. But that's what will happen because that's what happened at Wrexham. And I know we're not Wrexham and I know we're not that big.
I do think it's worth noting in terms of a difference that I don't think it's so much the documentary that drove the sellout crowds to Wrexham. I do think you cannot in any way, shape or form underestimate the glamour associated with Wrexham. I mean, if that scenario happened at the Harriers, those things would have obviously been in place just off the basis of the characters involved and the personalities involved.
100%.
I think if you look at something like the Dorking documentary or the Eastbourne documentary, I'll hold my hands up. I've not really watched the Eastbourne one yet, but I've seen a fair few Dorking episodes. And look, Mark White totally gets it. He totally gets social media. Absolutely. He totally gets that world. And I think where they do really well is I think they attract a really decent caliber of part-time player down there, just on the basis of, I guess they pay fairly well, but just that little bit of extra selling point that you get when you're effectively in the shop window on a weekly basis. You're effectively in the marketplace every week as a footballer, as a manager, as a staff member. And I think that's the huge appeal. I don't think it would necessarily add thousands of people to the gate necessarily. I think that's because Wrexham could see the future pathway they were going to go down, and it obviously excited the town and brought the city together, town together, whatever Wrexham is town. Whereas I think with Harriers, it would be more a way of maybe attracting a better quality and caliber of a footballer to the club that maybe you wouldn't get access to if we didn't have a documentary or whatnot. So, but ultimately, you've got to have people at the top driving that and seeing the vision and how it benefits us. And clearly, at this stage, we don't, based on what you said. So, someone's made a good point in the comments about highlights. Maybe one for AOB.
Yeah, we'll do that. Adam, hello Adam, where you been, mate? Where you been all our lives? Eastbourne are owned by a social media company. Are they though? Are they? Because I'm sure the guy, he runs a travel business. That's what it said in the documentary. Anyway, he's loaded, so he's living the dream, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, I just hope something could. I mean, it won't. It really won't. This is as good as you're going to get, I think, guys. John, what's your thoughts, mate? Smiling away.
I've been chuckling at the Wrexham comparisons and everything. I mean, they've got Deadpool. We've only got Leisure Centre Pool. I think we have to get the foundations right and the building blocks. And I think going for a documentary or something like that, it's beyond where we are at the minute. I don't mean as a club, but I think we have a really small team in the background.
We really do.
Other National League sides, which I don't think we should be comparing ourselves against too many other National League North sides. We should be comparing ourselves against other full-time teams. And we have a really small, hard-working team. But we as a club, profile-wise, number one, need to make a lot more of our social media. Yes, part of that is the highlights, although we are a little bit beholden with the away highlights, obviously, because of the when the footage is put out by that club. But we need to do more with our social media. It feels like it's really become just routine, dull, and it's not making the most of the opportunities. It's not a criticism of anyone in the club because, like I said, it's a really small team, but can we try and is that an area for investment? Would that benefit us both from one, a sponsorship point of view, and two, in terms of the engagement with fans, even the availability of things like merchandise, making that more of a publicity junket than it is at the moment. But yeah, documentary wise, I don't think that's something that we particularly need to do. And also, I think it's the wrong time to do it because we're just at the moment getting to a point where fans are starting to get back on board again. And if we had a documentary crew there, then we all know, I'm sure all of us on this podcast and most people listening know that that would then be leveraged as a criticism. Oh, they're too worried about the camera crew, too worried about how they look rather than what's going on the pitch. So I don't think we can do quite what Eastbourne are doing at the minute, and they had a great season to do it, obviously, and hopefully it was good for all of them, including your mate Michael Fish down, who sounds like a fair weather fan.
Very good, John. That's why you were smiling. You already had that joke lined up, didn't you? That's
classic John. Classic John.
5 minutes.
By the way, guys, when I met John yesterday at the match, John had been somewhere before the match. I think do you want to let us know, John, where you've been?
Yes. Myself and Adam went to Wetherspoons and had breakfast there, and then we had a drink and watched the first bit of the Villa Arsenal match in a pub. That's where we went, and then we came over to the ground.
Is that the story you're sticking with? Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what he did. He went to Wetherspoons. He didn't go anywhere else at all. I love that, John. Thank you. I love you, buddy. Thank you for that honesty there.
Can I jump in, Wes? Just fact checking Adam, because obviously we think fact checking is a very important part of the message we deliver here. The owner, Simon Leslie, does own a travel media company and has a very strong track record of building media platforms. So Adam's absolutely bang on with the owner owning a social media company. It is based on travel, but he's built numerous. Looking at what I've got in front of me, he's built numerous media platforms.
So, Carl, who we met yesterday, he says good evening. He did say he was going to listen, didn't he? He says he'll watch, and he has. Good evening, pleasure meeting you guys yesterday, Carl. Thank you, mate, for the hospitality. Honestly, everyone in that ground was lovely, apart from those dickheads who were drunk in the boxes at the top. Honestly, they were screaming. They're even singing to Reece Devine, going, "You just United reject, United reject." And he was laughing his head off because we were winning 1-0 at that point. It's like whatever. It's crazy. So there you go. Oh, hello. Yeah, that's all good. Dr. Stephen. Good evening, Doctor. Could we at least not record the per-match? Or was that, I guess, pre-match and post-match interviews, not in the toilet? The sounds is awful. That's easy fixable. You literally go on Temu, buy some more microphones, and then you're done. It costs you £6. Happy days. Right, so there you go. Hello. They was going off on one since 12:30. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Thank you, Carl. Anyway, mate, it was a pleasure to meet you. Like I said, right, boys. Either we have a rant, or I have a rant, or we watch the goals. What do you reckon? What do you want to do? Anything?
The goals.
Let's have a look at the goals.
Absolutely, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So here we go. Is that play okay or not?
Replay it.
Yeah. I will. I definitely will. Before we witness the goal of the season, I just wanted to say their goalie was absolutely shocking, wasn't he, John?
For that particularly, yeah. He didn't have a great game. I think, not that made a massive difference. I think we still would have come out with the 3 points. But yeah, he did not have a great game. Overall, I think they all played relatively well, South Shield. They were all, 6 out of 10. It was more that we nullified what they wanted to do, and their manager said this in the post-match interview. They stopped us playing our game, but then he also said, "Oh, and the conditions stopped us playing our game because of the water on the pitch." That to me is not the case. I think that's just an excuse. But yeah, I think on the whole, most of their players had a 5-6 out of 10. None of them were awful, or 6 out of 10. None of them were awful.
It's worth noting though, the goalkeeper wasn't the first choice.
He wasn't second choice either.
Yeah, I mean, their first choice goalkeeper is on the radar of a lot of Football League clubs. He's unbelievable, their first choice keeper. So a nice little, sometimes you need these little things to go for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Key players being out, and they've got a few key players, and a goalkeeper is always a key player. So that might have just been the little bit of extra we needed. But yeah, Jasper Sheik is their number one.
He's superb.
He's an unbelievable keeper. So sometimes you need these little things to go for you, don't you?
So before we watch the second goal, if you've not seen the second goal, by the way, this is an absolute worldie. This is, think back to Maradona, the Hand of God game, but what he did after the Hand of God thing.
The first goal.
Yeah. And watch this and just
do a Maradona, son.
Pardon?
Do a Maradona, son. Sorry, it's off mic. That's it. Carry on.
And if you watch this, look who comes running over. It's Adam Murray. They play again because he actually wins it. He wins it from that guy. That's the cool one. I'll see you later. 1U2, and U3 and 4. 5-1. Thanks. I could literally watch that goal and again and again and again. That was just.
It's that one. He rolls his foot over the ball, doesn't he, in between those two defenders? That's lovely. That is really nice.
Watch it again, Dan.
Yeah, go on.
Here.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Literally everyone's over. I bet Dibble was annoyed that. Yeah.
And there's so many times I've seen it this season where, without meaning to bring up bad memories, but so many times I've seen it this season where, the clubs get that late equaliser and they all go piling over into the corner from the bench. And it's just so great to see that being our lads doing it. It's the shoes on the other foot. It's great to see.
Absolutely beautiful. Just amazing.
So before we move on to the South Shields goal, if we're going to watch that.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't download it. There's no point. You weren't very good.
But before we move on, I think we're a fair way through this season now. We're almost at the halfway mark. I mean, a few games away from the halfway mark. And when we were 3 or 4 games in, there was a lot coming out about players playing with fear, and they're afraid to take chances because they're afraid to make mistakes, and they're afraid to get things wrong that are then going to get them criticised either on social media or podcasts. Whatever it was. And that goal is not a player playing with fear. That is a player who's injected with confidence, and I think
and annoyed.
Okay. Hemo coming back has given a bit of a lift. I think it seems to everyone inside the club and the fans as well. But last week and especially this week, what a shift in the mindset it's visible to see. And players taking chances, not just Candelo there, but also moments where Divine was making runs, a couple which it didn't find him, but he was taking a chance and he was playing with a risk factor that we haven't really seen this season. And yes, okay, that maybe they're a good opposition to do that against, but you've seen it gradually change, I think, the mindset. And then we had a bit of a blip at Marine where it seemed like that was our lowest point, and then suddenly, bang, we're right at it. And the confidence in all the players, the chances that they're taking, and the fact that they were taking chances, and when they didn't yield results, the fans weren't getting on their back. No. They were just positive. Let's keep going. We've got this. We can see we're doing everything we can. And as Murray said in his interview, running through brick walls, and he said running through brick walls for me. Whether it was for Adam Murray or whether it was for the badge on the shirt, the result is the same. The players yesterday ran through brick walls for the club, and they did it with real confidence. So hopefully that's a good mentality turning point for them, and hopefully they all had a good journey back and they had a bit of fun and a beer and a laugh themselves.
Absolutely, John. That's brilliant. I forgot all about that. Though, because I should write what things down that was what's said at the beginning of the season, because I seem to have got all of it. To be honest with you, you just get wrapped up in the emotions, don't you, and all that kind of thing. So I want to have a little rant now. It's Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast, episode 43. I'm joined today by the Housewives' favourite, sorry, by the fans as well, Nick, by Dan, who's the fan club reject. And Jon up the Harriers. Can people stop telling me who I should and shouldn't have on the podcast? Right. This is annoying because there are four of us on the podcast generally every time for a reason. We can't all get to every match, but I think there's only been one game, I think, this season where we couldn't attend. Can anyone back me up on that? I don't remember, but I can't remember what game it was, to be honest. But
I feel like it was filed.
Was it? No, John, you were filed, weren't you?
No, I wasn't at filed.
Oh, no, you were watching Coldplay. With bloody Chris Martin.
Yeah. My daughter's birthday present, Coldplay, yeah.
I love that. So we try to make every game, all right. And no one gets paid for this, okay? No one gets paid for the podcast.
That's news to me, Wes.
Oh, no, sorry, pal. It's in the post, apparently. We do it for the love of the team because they're our team. We love it. Do you know what? It costs me money to do the podcast. And in fact, I could buy a season ticket and a cottage pie at every home match for what I pay to put this podcast on. Nick, I know you're thinking in your brain, you're thinking cottage pie, surely go for steak pie? Because that was.
I mean, it was great. I'm not sure the price though. Not sure what the proposition is between the cottage pie and the actual pie. But yeah, similar regardless, as you were.
Yep. We have 6 great fans who do this. There's the 4 of us. You've got Matt and you got Nick as well. And brilliant voices and great opinions as well on here. It works because I'm a bit obsessed with making the best podcast in non-league, not just this league, in non-league. So there you go. So that's where it is. And if you want to help out the podcast, maybe find us a sponsor or 2. That would be amazing, because any money we do get from this, we're going to plow back into the club. Not the men's bit, the ladies' bit. I think we've all decided that's the right way to go, right? Is that what we decided? If we get any money, we'll sponsor a player in the ladies and that kind of thing. Is that correct? Yes, no? Help me out.
Yeah, I think that's what we said.
Thank you very much. So let's have a look at the results from yesterday then. So you'll be surprised, Nick, that Ricardo Reece didn't score yesterday.
Well, I mean, they're up against a formidable opposition in Fylde, and it's actually ironic because there's lots of rumours circulating that the AFC Fylde are in the market for Merthyr's Ricardo Reece, with something that I think is a really smart move if they do get that signing. Ultimately the Football League clubs, which I imagine he must be on the radar of at least a League Two side, will be unable to go forward just on the basis of the transfer window. So I think if Fylde can scoop Ricardo Reece, I think it pretty much guarantees that they will get promoted and will win the league. There'll be a statement of intent, and then ultimately in the summer they'll probably get a fee worth 2, 3, 4 times the figure that is rumoured to be his transfer fee at this stage. So I think if Fylde do get him, I mean, it'll be classic Fylde to go and do that as well. It's a sort of transfer, it's a sort of policy they are in the marketplace for. They've got the money based on the Nick Houghton transfer, you would imagine, to go make that deal happen. And like I said, I think it's a really savvy investment because ultimately it should guarantee them promotion. It should guarantee them, 3, 4, 5 times on their investment. Obviously didn't score yesterday. Fylde on a bit of a run at the minute, really starting to put a run together and look really formidable in the division.
Any results that stick out for you? Oxford against Darlington 5-1. I mean, what's
Do you
happening
know?
there?
I was driving in because the Oxford City ground is next to the John Radcliffe Hospital and where I work, and I was driving in early morning on Friday morning, and the lads were out on the pitch because I can see the pitch from the road as I sort of come past, and they were out there training at it must have been about 7:15, freezing cold. Everything frozen. This was Thursday morning, actually. Freezing cold, everything frozen, and there they were out there training. So those early morning starts have clearly done something to them. 5-1 win against Darlington's a superb result.
I think I've seen more teams score 5 this season than I can.
Yeah.
But I think big win for Curzon. I think they needed that to keep them on track. I think Bedford taking 2 points away from Scarborough is a result I didn't expect. And our old friends at Hereford beating, as they've now got to be known, haven't they? It's like Frank Lampard's Coventry City. They're not just Coventry City now, are they? Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Phil Brown's Peterborough Sports lost to Hereford, and I was surprised by that result. But I think probably the Curzon win's a big one for them, and Scarborough dropping a couple probably isn't bad for us. And Spennymoor going about their business quite quietly.
Another team on the quiet, John, Chester. They've been all at sea for most of the season, but when I looked at the league table, they seem to be slowly but surely piecing it together a little bit.
They haven't lost in 6. Chester haven't lost in 6, so they're
that's a good result away at Kings Lynn. Doesn't matter what state Kings Lynn are in. That's always a decent result.
Workshop drawn with Chorley 1-1. Workshop next for us in the FA Trophy. John, we were having a bit of a debate, weren't we, mate, about the trophy game. You said that I hope he plays the fringe players because you hate it like you hate the FA Cup. So
I am not. I don't hate all knockout cup competitions, but it's a tricky position. Yes, you want to keep the momentum going. Of course you do. And I think, obviously, Richard Lane wants a trip to Wembley. He wants to go to Wembley as a club chairman. He does. I know he's desperate for that.
That'd be nice.
But I don't think with the FA Trophy this season the risk is worth the reward necessarily. I think that we don't get much money at all. Well, no clubs do get much money for winning games in the FA Trophy. We don't have as the squad depth that I think would allow us to play a really, really strong team and not worry about picking up injuries. I think I would like to see us start some of those players who haven't had that much game time, old podcast favorite George Walker, those kind of players that have come off the bench. Saziba being another.
I disagree, John. I think if we were in the South Shields or Folds position at this stage in the season, I would be in full agreement, because you've got to go full tilt when you get yourself into a position where you're in a real strong chance to go and win the division, get promoted automatically. I think when we are, and I don't know the exact figures, but 12, 15 points off the summit and feels a long way away from us being in a title race, albeit it could still happen. I think you almost hedge your bets a little bit. And I think the odds of us making the playoffs now are 13 points, are fairly strong based on the overall points per game of the season, given the budget we have as well. You would expect us to finish in the top 7, and ultimately the FA Trophy is a cup competition, and I think that's a good opportunity for us to learn how to for this team, which is a newish team that hasn't had experience of big games at Harriers yet, really. Some of them obviously have, with the likes of Hemo and Amari and Dibble, etc. folks, but I think it'd be good for us to use that competition as a way of us getting that big game exposure. But also, yeah, I don't see it as a high risk strategy. We've probably got the biggest squad we've had since I can remember of a decent quality squad. You don't tend to find that a National League North side or National League South side win a competition like this. You would expect a National League side to go on and deliver it. But I don't really see, other than us getting 3 horrendous injuries against Worksop on Saturday or something like that. I don't.
Lord.
You could get that, but you could get that in any game of football. And I think really, if we were to go deep in the competition, it kind of almost takes the stress off a little bit when we should automatically get in the playoffs anyway, regardless of a trophy run. Like I said, caveat being if we're Merthyr, South Shields or Fylde, maybe just South Shields and Fylde, I'd be saying, right, it's all about the title. It's all about first place. But I don't think we're that team this season, and I think an FA Trophy run would be a welcome one, to be honest.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff.
I think it's a fair point, but I think I come in behind John on this one, that you are right about the depth of the squad, but the depth of injury within the squad is now also a problem as well. And they are long-term injuries that we have that we're suffering with, especially in those midfield positions. So my concern for this is that I think I agree with what you're saying, that it's looking very positive towards us making a playoff position, but I think the risk for us in particular is an injury risk, and these extra games in cup competitions, which we all enjoy and they're great to, a cup run is always a great thing, and a trip to Wembley would be fantastic, but my concern is that the injury problems within the club could be worsened by extra games that in essence we don't really need to play.
Right. So hang on, let me get rid of this so we can see John on the screen. There he is. Phil Tanner. Hello, Phil. Good evening to you, my friend. We've only just found our best team. We have to play then again in the cup. No midweek games before Fylde. Only a week ago, the players need confidence.
It's a fair point.
Willem says, go strong for Worksop game. Keep the good run going. We'll breed further confidence if win. See you there if you're going. I am, Willem. I shall be there. John, not so much. He hates cup competition, so
I do disagree on this one for the reasons that I said, and I also think it's a good opportunity to get some game time for those players that haven't had a lot of consecutive time on the pitch. So I'd fully expect to see Kurt Willoughby start. I imagine that he'll start probably with Amari or Show Silver. I'd like to think it was Amari. I'd expect to see Walker start. And yeah, we'll see who else plays. I think I'd like to see Luke Spokes be there from the first whistle. But we'll see. We'll see what lineup comes out. I would suspect, and I've not had this conversation with Adam Murray, so this is only absolute guesswork, but I would suspect that he would come down on the side of rotation on this one. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I probably won't be there on Saturday. I'm saving my money for the long trips coming up. We've got Spennymoor and Darlington back to back in Feb, haven't we? So I imagine
within a week. It's ridiculous. If I've got 3 games in that week, it's crazy. Can't remember playing the Tuesday night. Is it?
And Scarborough in January, I'll be there as well. So
absolutely.
trying to save myself a little bit. And I've got to go Christmas shopping at some point, haven't I?
John, if okay, so just go with it. Go with me on this one. Say he picks Zaziba to start, and he scores a goal. He looks like he's going to score a goal or whatever, and no one's there to sing his song, John. That'll knock his confidence, mate. So
people will pick that song up easy, mate. Is he fit? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But I think there's enough to make a few changes, to rotate a few. Obviously, we're going to have Tunney and Cooper, I imagine, will be out with concussion protocol anyway. So we are going to have to make those changes. Obi, I thought did spectacularly well yesterday. Apart from there were 2 points where he miskicked it, and my heart was absolutely in my mouth. But it can't be perfect
It was really weird. He kind of miskicked it, but also controlled the ball really well, and he just kicked it off. And he was like, okay.
I think there was one point where he cleared it, but he cleared it behind him and over the stadium. Yeah.
Oh man, that was funny. That was really funny. So we got it's Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast, episode 43. Hope you're doing well and looking forward to the new week coming up tomorrow. And we are how many days till Christmas? What's that?
18?
Is it 18? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, well done. Great maths, better than my 15. Doesn't work at all. So yeah, Jay saying, even lads, how was Hemmer's first game back? I'll tell you how it was. He should have scored in the first half. Absolutely should have scored. He put it wide by about a foot, which was so annoying. But then again, quite a few people missed in the first half. And then at the end of the game, he actually came over to me and gave me a massive hug and whispered to me. But he didn't. Did he whisper, "Wes, I love you"? No, not really. But he did say, "It feels great to be back." And I thought, yes, well done, son.
Just remember, Wes.
Yeah.
Players.
Don't do it. Don't read. What?
Just remember that. Yeah.
Any other business?
I've got some other business, and it's off a comment from earlier on in the podcast, which is around the highlights packages at the Harriers, which seems to be a bit of a bone of contention across various platforms at the minute, which I think is a fair shout, if I'm honest. Mm-hmm. They tend to last, and appreciate we haven't exactly been prime Barcelona at times this season, but the highlights packages tend to last around 5 to 6 minutes, and the quality isn't particularly great in terms of the production value, shall we say. I think the link that you sent earlier, Wes, for our highlights came from the South Shields website, which I think says it all. I have mentioned in the past that theirs does tend to be pretty good. Now, this wasn't something that was an issue or didn't feel like an issue sort of even 18 months, 2 years ago. But like I said, it does seem to have reared its ugly head a little bit at the moment. And I guess my question is, what has changed? Have we lost the previous media person? Have we got somebody different doing it? Have we not got an actual designated kind of? I don't know. I don't know enough about social media or the media team in general to know what's changed. But it does feel like there's been what I'd class as a degradation in service, if you will, on highlights packages.
A comment from Nick Hatton worth.
Oh no, it's a better comment from Phil Tanner. Sorry, Dan. He says, "Do you think the club are withholding them until the podcast is aired?" Wouldn't have thought so, Phil. But thank you very much for believing us in that much. So that is a pain. Do you know what? Last season, when I say you just come down and stay at my dad's, we would literally have a Chinese or whatever in the evening, and then we get up in the morning and just watch the highlights for about half an hour. Just watch it on repeat for half an hour if we played well and that kind of thing. Was it?
I mean, I watched randomly the Harriers Hereford 5-1 came up on my YouTube the other day, and I thought I'm not turning that down. So I watched it, and obviously it was great in terms of the performance, and we were just unbelievable. I mean, the highlights, my God, it doesn't have to bring back how good of a side it was, but yeah, I don't know. I'm only commenting on it because, like I say, someone's mentioned it earlier today in the comments, and I've seen it on the forum and various other places. That it does seem to be a bit of a bugbear with the highlights. So I guess really, what's changed? Has anything changed? You know, can we get something a little bit more? I think substantial. I mean, sometimes I've watched it, and with respect, like the away team have delivered a much better performance potentially than what's been put on the highlights. Like key moments are missing from games, like the Chorley game the other day. It was I think we got away with one in terms of a penalty against us from Chorley. It wasn't in the highlights. It was clearly a big moment in the game. Wasn't featured. There's loads of stuff, both in terms of our attacking play as well, that seems to be missed. Quite often goalkeeper saves are missed. Like these are key moments in a game that you would anticipate would be included, but don't seem to be. So yeah, I don't know. Just the feedback is generally poor.
I think there are a couple of good comments here. Nick Hatton saying that a chap called Luke's left, that the standard has dropped. But actually, I think Mark Stone has actually potentially nailed it here. That last season, every game was viewable on National League TV, or DAZN, as it was called. So I was really disappointed when I took out my subscription at the beginning of this season.
Find out it's gone.
Very, very selective on what games get played. So I guess that's a big part of it. Is
the VO.
Yeah,
sorry,
VO.
Dan.
What
Yeah,
is
the VO. So VO is like it's kind of like a high level AI
Is it a
driven
platform?
camera. It automatically like provides sort of highlights packages and stats. It's used by a lot of academy teams, high level football teams, and more clearly, more and more football clubs. I've noticed that on a lot of the away footage, it's VO, which again is great if it's kind of grassroots academy, smaller pitches closer to the pitch. But when you watch it on, when you're watching a game where it's like in a stadium, I don't think it's quite as good highlights as maybe like a proper actual camera, like what you get at Agbra, and when you've got the likes of DAZNs and BTs and all that jazz and Sky. But yeah, it looks like a lot of the comments are kind of giving an overview as to why it looks like we've lost a member of staff who was particularly strong in the media area. So maybe that clearly answers it. But like I said, I think it's okay. But again, as the season starts to get really exciting and people can't get to games because we can't get tickets or whatever, you want something that's actually befitting of a club of our stature at this level. And when you've got something like a team like South Shields, theirs is night and day compared to ours at this stage, and I don't think it should be really. There you go. Luke Thompson left. Sounds like he was doing a great job.
Yeah, he did. Is that any other business for you, Dan? Is that it done?
No, for me, I just wanted to come back to something I raised last week regarding defibrillators around the ground. I have contacted the club. I've not heard anything back yet, so I'll give that a chase up next week for those who were asking about it. So that's it from me.
I love that. Thank you, Dan. John, any other business, mate? Any other business at all?
Nothing from me. Just to say again, great weekend, great away trip. Really pleased for the players, the fans, everyone associated with the club for a great away day yesterday. And I will be seriously hoping that we get the win next week. I don't hate the FA Trophy that much. And obviously, if we get to Wembley, I'm fully expecting that I'm going to be put to the sword about these comments.
And you're not going to go.
You're not going to be walking through the Wembley concourse and people will be going,
all the tickets sold out, mate, for you. They're all sold out, those tickets. They're all sold out. Right. So any other business, I saw this today. It's quite funny. I got it from Facebook. So Brian Spurrell, non-league pick of the day from Rustall FC. Has Glyn been there, John? Do you know?
I imagine he must have been. Glyn and Subi would have been there.
The number 9, an electrician, was able to fix the lights match abandoned. So they wrote, did my best, but apparently 14 out of the 16 lights on wasn't enough for the restart. That can't be correct. Shane being 2 up, but there we go. My dad, Given Dad, this is how we communicate now through a podcast. In the 90s, I'm sure, now you can put me up on this or whatever, but I'm sure that my dad was called upon to fix the floodlights at Agbra. I'm sure of it. He'll probably tell me he wasn't, and it's a lie, but there you go, I'm sure. And Nick, you said you had something else. Anything else?
Oh yeah, just quickly on the Adam Murray interview yesterday, just from me. So I watched it last night, and I think for me it's the best interview he's given. I really liked his interview yesterday. He gave an insight in terms of where his head's been at. I thought he really treated the fans with respect yesterday in terms of us having a footballing brain as a fan base, like to explain what happened. That he's finally admitted really that a lot of the football was poor. In his own words, he basically said it was dull football. He wasn't enjoying it, and it was time to effectively put into play what he kind of said he was going to do at the start, and that's meant a more diminutive front line. Now he's brought Hemmings in. When you've got him, Giassi, and Willoughby potentially as a front three, or 2 of those 3 starting games. We're pressing teams like we were yesterday. We did the same, against Chorley at times. And I think, fair play to him that he admitted that yesterday. Because I think that's quite a big thing for a manager to admit that effectively hasn't really been serving up what he promised really and what we wanted. But the last 2 games, to get 6 points from Chorley at home, which historically has been an absolute stinker for us, to go and beat a team like South Shields. Yes, I think a couple of things did go for us yesterday. I know their managers used the phrase about the conditions yesterday, and I've seen a fair bit of South Shields this season, and I think that is a fair shout about the conditions. I also think it's a fair shout they've got a key player missing, but ultimately you have to win a division. You have to find a way to play on whatever surface it is that you're given. But sometimes things like that happen at key times for us, and I think at the moment for Murray, a couple of things that maybe weren't going for him are starting to go for him, and that's always a good sign. So long may that continue, because I would love absolutely nothing more than to go and turn Fylde over a week Saturday. That would be a brilliant one before Christmas. So yeah, well done to the players, the manager and the staff, because that is a really good 2 results. Really good. Bring on Fylde. After work topping, obviously a real big game in the FA Trophy.
Not to John, it's not, so that's fine. So it's due to John's charm worker on Adam. I was there first, man, yesterday, so that's absolutely fine. But yeah, there you go, guys. That was it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it as well. It's amazing how we can do different podcasts, and it's still fun, and people still enjoy it and stuff. By the way, over yesterday, the course of about 12 hours yesterday, we got about 5,000 views on our YouTube channel, which is just mad. Absolutely mad. So that was amazing. Thank you everyone who's getting involved and just enjoying it. Please spread the word. We need people subscribing. That's great as well if you can do that. Yeah, we'd love that too. So I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it the first time today. Let me just yes.
Don't play the song.
What?
Oh, I thought you were going to play the song again.
Oh, you like that? Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dan. And thank you to my South Shields buddy. Appreciate it, John. Lovely man. It's the FA Trophy. He won't be there, or the FA Cup. He's fine. He's fine for another week. It's absolutely another season anyway. So thank you so much, everyone who watched. If you just joined us right at the end, don't worry, it will be uploaded onto YouTube pretty much straight away. So, in fact, that is it, guys. There we go. Finish on a gong. Cheers, guys. Have a great week. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye bye.